What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Ghost Rider Final Vengeance. This time with issue 6 of this 8-issue series. And if you missed any parts of this series, then I'll put a link up at the top of the screen and a card at the end of the video to the playlist. But when we left off with this series, the new Ghost Rider, Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, has saw his family get turned into vampires. And not only that, but the issue ended with Johnny Blaze finding Parker in an attempt to get back the spirit of vengeance. So if you guys are ready to find out if Johnny Blaze is successful, or if Parker has grown too powerful and uncontrollable, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So we pick this issue up right where the last one left off as Johnny Blaze comes face to face with Parker Robbins. And while Johnny attempts to deal with Robbins, Zeb takes the opportunity to put together a spell. But it's going to take him some time, so Johnny's got to be able to hold his own for a while, which is a task that Johnny is anxious to take on. And as their battle begins, Johnny tries speaking with Zarathos about why he's here. But when the writer speaks back, it's Parker's voice that Johnny hears instead of the spirits. And he admits that he hadn't had control like that for some time. When he held the spirit, his body felt torn in 2 different directions on a daily basis. And as he asks what it was that Parker offered the spirit, for Parker, it's simple. He offered what it wanted: blood and pain and punishment. Enough to fill Lake Michigan or the deepest pits of hell. As Johnny continues to fire on Parker with his Hellfire weapon, Parker just takes it like it's nothing. And then he decides to show Johnny some of the new tricks that he's learned as the new Rider. And he unleashes chains that pierce Johnny's entire body. And as he tells Johnny that he's gonna make him wish he was dead and he's gonna tear his body apart, we see Johnny now strung up, almost like JC on the cross, and Parker relishing in Johnny's suffering. Meanwhile, with Zeb, he was trying to attempt a severance spell that he'd never attempted, and he was uncertain that it would work. But for Johnny, this was his best shot at reaching Zarathos directly. And when the spell begins to work, Johnny is able to speak with Zarathos face to face, which confuses even Zarathos as to how Johnny is able to do this. But it's here where Johnny is able to plead to the spirit, although Zarathos is not really interested in linking back up with him anymore. But Johnny insists that Zarathos hear everything he has to say first. And then Johnny recalls many of the events that they went through, but also that Johnny really hated all that Zarathos made him survive and do. That Johnny's life was made a living hell thanks to Zarathos. And yet still, Johnny wants to give this another go. But Zarathos calls Johnny weak for trying to steer him in the direction of mercy when Zarathos is all about vengeance. But Johnny defends that mercy is what makes him strong. Meanwhile, Mephisto decides to make his presence known as he intervenes in this fight and breaks Zeb's spell. And then he addresses Johnny Blaze and accuses him of whining and weeping, which Mephisto considers an insult to him. "I gave you a gift," he tells Johnny, "and you call it a curse? You've been driving dangerously for far too long, and it's time for the Blacktop to claim you," as Mephisto calls upon souls to hold Johnny down against the pavement. But while Johnny deals with that, Parker is forced to deal with demons of his own, as he's once again confronted by his daughter and her mother, now in vampire form. And apparently they didn't get taken out in the previous issue like it had appeared. But when they call on Parker, he could do nothing but just begin to shed tears, and now he's stuck, and he doesn't know what to do. But Mephisto stands over Parker and insists that Parker do what he promised and punish them. But Parker can't. This is one thing that he's simply not capable of, which heavily irritates Mephisto. "You're rather pathetic, aren't you, Robbins?" Mephisto asks him. "You promised me blood, so I granted you power. But Parker pleads with Mephisto to help his family, make them human again. They don't deserve this. And then Parker offers to pay whatever the price necessary is to save them. He even gives up his hood to Mephisto. I'll give you whatever you want. But Mephisto tells Parker that he already knows what he wants. And Parker, without hesitation, tells Mephisto that he can have it. You can have me, he tells him. So Mephisto obliges, and he turns Parker's family back human. But when Parker runs to embrace his family, Mephisto steps in, and he grabs Parker, and then he immediately takes his payment as he rips the skin right off of Parker's face as Mephisto relishes in Parker's pain. And then we switch back over to the point of view of Johnny as he breaks free from the pavement souls and calls out for Mephisto and tells him that the spirit is not yet done with him. And Mephisto admits that he too is now apparently not yet done with Blaze, as much as he'd like to be, as he acknowledges that a part of Zarathos still resides in Johnny. And he can also sense a piece of Johnny in Zarathos as well, which leaves them at a crossroads right now, prompting Mephisto to offer up a new contract for Johnny, telling him that both he and Zarathos belong to each other, but they both work for Mephisto. And then we transition to a bit farther down below, as Parker Robbins is now in literal hell. And Parker initially wanted to be big time, and he paid his way in vengeance, and he painted the streets of Chicago red. He sat on a throne of hot chains, but he was not as ruthless as he pretended to be, and he gave it all away so his family could live again. He may have been poisoned by his greed, but in the end, it was his love that doomed him. Meanwhile, we pick back up with Johnny Blaze as he thinks to himself that nobody is just one thing, not all good or all evil. And he notes how Zeb is always speaking of maintaining the balance of light and dark. But for Johnny, it's the only way. He can both save innocent lives and dish out vengeance. He is both Johnny Blaze and Zarathos, and each one of them separately is hollow and distorted without the other. But together, they are the Ghost Rider, and it is their fate to do some good and some bad, as we now see a fully hellfire engulfed Johnny Blaze, now fully back as the Ghost Rider, riding off into the darkness. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So what did you guys think about the issue? And to all of the Johnny Blaze fans, are you excited that he's reunited with Zarathos and back as the Ghost Rider? This issue almost felt to me like a finale, but fortunately we still have 2 more issues left in this series. So I'm sure we haven't seen the last of Parker Robbins. And spoiler alert, next month begins a new ongoing series titled Spirits of Vengeance that includes 5 writers, and one of them is the Hood. So how it happens? Well, we'll just have to sit tight and wait to find out. But I tell y'all what, I damn sure can't wait. But you guys know I want to hear all your thoughts and theories about this issue. And what do you see next for Parker Robbins? And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you could do so by stopping by the Comics Icons store and picking you up some Comics Icons merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video, available for download. Or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and there'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, your voice will be heard during our interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icons merchandise from the Comics Icons store. Plus, we've got tiers to the memberships as well, beginning at just 99 cents. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of those, then you could still be a tremendous help to the future of this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribe in the Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, It's about that time. I'm out.